Chico and the Man will not be presented this evening, and the Rockford Files will be seen 1 hour later than normal, so that we may bring you the following special program.
Word Balloon is brought to you by the League of Word Balloon Listeners.
We'll be putting together an art book of a lot of the assorted images I've done for prints and for other commercial clients that have never been seen in a collected form before. I want to make it easier for my collectors to get those images more than just on your computer, but in print, where you can kind of more casually come upon it. Although using your phone to look up images is casual, but to me it's not. I like everything to be on paper, and I like to have something all kind of collected and combined where you can get to it in a library. And so our intent is to get a full book together of a lot of those images which I've produced in the last 10 to 15 years that have really not been assembled before.
Welcome back, everybody. It's Word Balloon, the Comic Book Conversation Show. John Suntress here. Rob, have we ever shared the camera before? I was on Golden Guys. We have shared the camera before.
We were on Golden Guys before, the hottest show on Tuesday night over on Comic-Core. It was fun, John.
And that's one of the reasons why I'm having you on. It's Rob, the great legend. It's good to see you, man. And I am a Golden Guys fan. It is a great show if you are into knowing what's going on with collectible comics. I mean, Rob is a fantastic collector. I've had a handful of collectors on Word Balloon over the years, but I've gotten to know Rob in the last year or so with our co-association with Mainframe Comic Con, and it's been fun as hell. Rob, you crack me up. You know you do without even trying.
Mainframe Comic Con has been a great experience because for me, it gets my feet wet as far as hosting and having fun live in front of the audience is always a great time. But behind the scenes, fans, Mainframe Comic Con, the Mainframe meetings, John, on Zoom, man, those were just epic, man.
Yeah. No, absolutely, man. And we got some stuff planned for later on in the year, and we'll get into that as the events get closer. But Jesus, man, no, it's been a lot of fun. And Christ, the first thing I ever saw you do was your conversation last August with Fred the Hammer Williamson. And dude, you nailed it. First of all, I won't deny it, Rob. I'm like, I would have liked to have talked to Fred Williamson. But that said, damn it, man, you were fantastic, and it was great, and he had a great time. It was so obvious that he was enjoying talking to you. And truly, honestly, man, it's for people who didn't see it, it's on the Word Balloon YouTube channel. Proud to have it on here, man, because truly, Rob, it was a great conversation, and I'm glad you let me do it because it's wonderful.
It's awesome. Fred Williamson, loved by fans from every decade to whenever he was jacking people with the big forearm shiver, man, with the old hammer laying them down. But it was a lot of fun. And you'll find at a lot of times when he goes to these cons, if you ever look at YouTube interviews and these folks are asking him questions, it's kind of weird because you can tell they don't really know who he is or what his contributions were. So it was a great time interviewing Fred. It was awesome.
I get it, man. And honestly, Rob, that's one of the reasons why I stopped doing convention interviews because everybody does them. Yeah. I get it. I mean, that's the great accessibility place or was, live cons and stuff. So I understood. Yeah. And thankfully, having done it for like 15 years, I use it more as a networking thing and just, how you doing? Here's my card. If you don't, if you've never seen the channel, these are people I've talked to. I hope you'll check it out. And that's basically how I've operated. And also, I like, hopefully, we will have a good example of it tonight. I like a longer conversation. I don't want 10 minutes. Yeah. And to ask a celebrity for more than 5 or 10 minutes, when they're on the floor, they're there for the fans. They're trying to make money and stuff. You don't want to impose on these people. So yeah, I mean, it's like, it's great. And again, like you said, I mean, I got to talk to Billy D. Williams before he did Terrificon, before Rise of Skywalker came out. And like you said, it's important to get beyond the obvious, and that's what excites these guys. And I didn't know it. This great guy that I worked with at my news station at CBS is like, he paints.
Wow, Billy D. Williams paints. Oh my God.
I'm like, I did not know he paints. He goes, they're really good. He goes, they're online. So I went online. I saw some. I took a few notes. And, yes, well, when I did Brian's song. Yes, well, when I did, name your favorite Billy D. movie beyond the obvious. And his people are like, he could talk about Lando, being Lando. He cannot talk about Last Skywalker. I'm like, yeah, no shit. It's 6 months before the movie's coming out. I'm not my first rodeo, but thanks for playing. But anyway, but I'm like, oh, by the way, I learned, and I've seen your paintings online. They're amazing. Oh, really? And all of a sudden he perks up, and I'm like, have you thought about like doing a gallery show? Like, I don't know, the last time he did, he's like, it's funny, actually, me and my people have been talking about doing a gallery show. And he perked up. And I had his attention for, like, all of a sudden for 5 minutes. It's like, hey, this guy knows what I do. It's like, cool. No,
that's when you make that connection like that, and you've got a good interview ahead of you as well, a good contact point, because they find out that you're just more than one of those people asking the same old questions about the sucky trilogy that came out, or whatever. Empire, you gotta love Empire, man. Smooth as silk, man.
Oh my God, yeah. No, he's great, and he's fun in Return. That's fine. But yeah, and I mean, really, it's funny. Art Baltazar makes fun of him in Last Skywalker, where he seems to be like making his own movie, and he just laughs at like, hey, look, a salt shaker. It's like,
starts laughing.
All right, whatever. And then also, they really should have made the relationship between him and the new character, and that, hey, why don't you come out to the stars with me? And it's like, it's his daughter, man. He's not making a move. Don't worry.
Yeah, that's what everyone was thinking. I'm thinking it's the daughter as well. They're just reunited somehow by the Force, of course. You can't go wrong with that.
But a terrible movie nonetheless, at least in my opinion.
I didn't like it either. I grew up watching the originals and the prequels, episode 2 and 3, the acting could have been a little better, but I really think it was just the storyline itself, because those were some top-notch actors, So I don't know.
Well, yeah, the original 3 were great. Yeah, I first of all, it is interesting, and Roger Ebert used to say this for years. Depending on your age, depending on where society is at the moment, an interpretation of a movie can really change. And for little kids, I understand why they like the first 3, and they're like, "What's the problem?" And I get it. That's fine. And I will say that there are parts of all 3 of those prequels that are still really fun to watch. But that said, yeah, they're definitely weaker. Well, and dude, don't worry, I will save my breath and just acknowledge the obvious all the time and say,
Jar Jar.
No, I was gonna jump franchises and say how much I am disappointed by new Star Trek and have been since the second JJ movie, where it's just like, all right, and it's just like literally like it just keeps going like, oh man, like I'm like, hey, Patrick Stewart's gonna do a new show. Oh, it's like, I don't know, man. I really, and Discovery, I just think it's just not my it's not my thing. And I appreciate the fans that are like, well, they don't watch, and it's like. But like, I didn't like Enterprise as much as I liked the others, and I still watched. And I'll say on balance, I like Enterprise a lot more because at least it was more consistent. And I didn't, people are now like, well, I kind of like that there are Star Treks for certain people and stuff. And I'm like, I don't know, Star Trek was for everybody for like 50 years. What do I know?
It just went downhill, it seems. I was watching it live when it was The Next Generation, but my dad was a big fan of the 66. What did it run? 66 to 67. It was about one season or so. The original.
Which one again? Because I was checking the
original one with Captain Kirk and Spock.
It ran 3 seasons. It ran 66. Right. Yeah, 66 to 69, like 70 some episodes. I think 72.
Dude, that's awesome. That's a collection for anyone to have, because you can't beat and you can't go wrong with the classic.
Oh, well, absolutely. Like whatever the first iteration is, it is
Mhm.
always the best. I mean, you name the franchise, seriously.
Yep.
Highlander, Rocky.
Oh,
I mean, it's
Highlander,
like, come on. But that
Mhm.
said, and it's tough. It is tough. In fact, speaking of franchises, have you seen Coming to America on
Oh
Amazon?
my gosh, I have not. I want to get my wife to watch the first one again because I know it's been years since she's seen it, but I'm so freaking pumped. I'm a huge fan. I love those movies. Coming to
It's
America,
fun.
the original.
It's fun. It
Mhm.
absolutely does what a sequel does and has callbacks to the first
Mhm.
movie in a lot of ways.
I'm
But
hoping for
it's
Soul
fun.
Glow, Eric LaSalle. I'm hoping, don't tell me anything, but I'm hoping for some
Nope.
Soul Glow. I love that part.
No, it's fun.
The barbershop guys talking about
Well,
boxing.
yeah, they're in the
Remember
trailer, so it's okay. Don't worry, they'll be there.
that? That's awesome.
And more boxing talk, so that makes me happy.
Mhm.
But no, and again, I won't name any characters or actors or music people that are in it. And it's like,
Oh,
that's
awesome.
it's a fun movie. It's a really fun. I mean, and is it as good as the first one? Of course not.
Yeah.
But I mean, because again, half the jokes are callbacks. Oh yeah,
Yeah.
and it's and I'm okay with member berries. I know that's South Park's
Mhm.
name for them, and I love that.
Mhm.
If they're used judiciously and not 90% of what we're like watching, and that's again, obviously, that's the fault. I mean, I agree with the South Park guys. That is the fault of the Star Wars movies, the
Yep.
sequels.
And you know what else, John? The Three Stooges used it a lot. Once Curly had the stroke, they got Shemp in there and they started reusing a lot of the same storylines just with Shemp.
Yeah, that something. But
You got
that
to go with
fast.
it sometime.
Well, first of all, no, and you're right, Rob. But I will say part of that is like what's fascinating to me about the
Yeah.
Stooges. I love that we're going everywhere with this shit, Rob. This is
Yeah.
exactly what I was hoping.
It's
And
pop
I knew,
culture at its best.
Rob, there are few people that speak our language. I
That's
say
right.
this to the handful of people I know that we can throw back and forth on stuff like this. But
Mhm.
with the Stooges and remaking stuff, there weren't reruns,
Yeah.
and they kept like the shorts went from being, I mean, goddamn, like Laurel and Hardy's best stuff is in the shorts.
Yeah.
It's not the movies. The movies are
Mhm.
nice, and there's great moments in the movies, but really it's that 20-minute punch of a two-wheeler from Laurel and Hardy. That's really your Laurel and Hardy gold. And much like the Stooges, and further, as the budgets and the importance of shorts kept getting smaller to the point where Columbia was the last studio making shorts.
Yeah.
And as much as I hate the Joe Besser Stooge
Oh.
shorts, and they are intolerable,
Yeah.
every now and then I can watch them from a
Mhm.
technical standpoint and go, isn't this interesting? It's almost a rock and roll Three Stooges like thing. And despite it being a rock and roll thing, Larry's still playing the violin. Like
Yeah,
when
he
they got
still
the
does.
heavy lady that I got to look up her name. She's a great
Mhm.
character actress, and when I see her in 1950s and 60s stuff, she did a Twilight Zone as well. This
Oh,
actress I'm talking
wow.
about, but she sings this song, "The Heat Is On."
Mhm.
That's not quite rock, but I don't know what the hell's going on, or everything that's happening in those Last Stooges things from 1958. But anyway.
Sometimes Joe Besser. See, the funny thing was maybe that girl was kind of frisky for Joe Besser or something. I don't know.
Oh, I think they did kind of every now and then like put them
Yeah.
together. But oh man, Joe Besser, I interviewed him.
Oh my
And
God, really?
yeah, Rob, honestly,
He's like, stop
I
it.
saved so much stuff, and I
Yeah.
had great opportunities even as a kid. And I wish I had hung on to the cassettes of those interviews. But
Oh, man.
we had a high school radio station, and we were close enough to Chicago to claim we were a Chicago high school radio station. And I did a special on the Three Stooges. I did two, one with a friend and one solo,
Mhm.
and it was amazing. And I got to talk to Joe Besser and Emil Sitka from all
Oh,
the
you
Stooges things.
did. Oh, Emil Sitka. Yeah, all right.
Could
Yeah,
not have been nicer. Sweetheart of a guy. Great.
Yeah.
And he wrote me for months afterwards, and I'd write him back and stuff. Very sweet guy.
He
Really
was supposed
appreciate
to.
his
He
guy.
was supposed to be the new Larry.
Yes.
Mo, Larry, and Curly Joe to read after Larry had the
You got it,
stroke.
buddy.
But Mo, went downhill pretty quick after. They always go in twos.
No, you're right. Have you ever seen the
The
Mike
Mel
Douglas
Gibson.
episodes? Those Mike
Oh,
Douglas shows with
Yeah.
Mo?
Yeah, and also with our guy from Caddyshack, Ted Knight, was
Yes.
in a lot of them
Yes.
too. Yeah, I love those Mike Douglas interviews, where he talked about how the the eye poke of doom was born, playing at the card table, and Shemp got mad and, called the guy a cheat, and then just wham, right in the eyes, old Shemp. Classic.
Hilarious.
I love that stuff.
Absolutely.
Hey, speaking of Three Stooges, John, let me pull this book out real quick. This is one of my holy grails here. And I fell in love with this book the first time I ever saw it inside the Three Stooges scrapbook at my local public library. Three Stooges scrapbook. I was like, oh, I loved watching those guys as a kid. Inside, it showed they had a comic book series, and the comic book was produced by their manager, Norman Moore, who went on, I guess, to be Norman Moore. Yeah, who went on to be a what is it? Mauer?
I actually interviewed him, but keep going.
Norman Mauer, and of course, married Moe's daughter, Joan Howard Mauer. So yeah, it's so cool. And of course, Norman was friends with the classic Joe Kubert, and this is just great stuff. But it's Three Stooges #1 Infinity cover. It's kind of bright, but 4.0. Really nice. It was off-white. That's pretty good for a book from.
That's great.
What is this book from? 1949. So Three Stooges #1, and man, it's an infinity cover. You look at it.
What's an infinity cover? What is that?
Well, when you look real close at the cover, you see the comics that he's selling, right? They're comic books of this comic book. So it's a comic book.
Oh, I see. That's what makes it an infinity cover.
Yeah, kind of like those painters do, from.
Of course. No. Like the painting in Escape from the Planet of the Apes when I forget the actor's name, but yeah, he's the doctor. Here's a painting of a painting. Painting a painting. And say,
yeah. That was one of the orangutan guys, one of the teacher guys or whatever too.
It was but this was the human in L.A.
Human. Oh,
yeah, he was the head Nazi in my favorite World War II television show. How many shows can you say that about? The Rat Patrol.
And this was this Escape? This was the third one from the original 5.
Yes, it was the third one when they go to L.A. in the 70s.
Had old Victor from Young and the Restless in there without the mustache.
That's what I'm talking about.
That's
the guy with the painting. He explains I don't even remember. I was told
very like a professor. His voice always sounded like a good professor. That guy.
I don't Paradox either. He was Eric Braeden. I want to say is his name, I believe. Mm-hmm. But yeah, he's amazing. Great character actor. How about him and Susan Clark in Colossus: The Forbin Project? When the computer,
I have not seen it in years, but I remember it. I just have to rewatch it, but I know that title.
It's one of those awesome sci-fi movies that has like an oh shit ending, like a bad ending. Because the ultimate, and I love that Dana Gould makes fun of it all the time. I love Beneath the Planet of the Apes, but it is a massive downer, and it just ends with that sad Paul Frees. Somewhere in the cosmos, an insignificant green planet revolving around a yellow star has been disintegrated and is now dead. And it's like, all right, thanks a lot, everybody. Have a good night.
Yeah.
Don't have to go home, but you can't stay here.
That's it, man. The whole front thing went off, but it was kind of cool. You got a little bit of Heston at the end. Look at that guy right there. Heck yeah. Old Chad R. Yeah, Chad R., the superstar from the Comic Core and Mainframe.
Oh, wow. That's interesting. Mr. Gretzky says he heard one of the guys broke his arm filming the open to the Rat Patrol. Well, yeah, that's that one where it's the Jeep with the Gatling gun fitted on the back, and it's like these guys are just hitting sand dunes and doing massive Jeep tricks. And for a little kid, not strong on plot, but fantastic on action. Really well shot, and I love when it pops up. The Rat Patrol, everybody. Check your local listings. So, God, you know what I do have for my Outer Limits thing here? This is a good chance to play with stuff today. Video that I've got here. We'll get to more collectibles in a minute. But everybody knows on Thursday nights at 11:30 Central our time, Rob, and 12:30 a.m. Eastern time and 9:30 Pacific. Me and Gabe Harbin, we discuss To the Outer Limits, our favorite 1963 sci-fi show. And if you don't know The Outer Limits, here's a little taste.
We are controlling transmission. Do not attempt to adjust the picture. Thrill to the awe and mystery of the hidden world, The Outer Limits. You will journey into into strange realms of science fiction. You will journey through uncharted galaxies from the inner mind of man to the outer limits. The Outer Limits. Every week on ABC.
So there you go.
Dude, that's freaking awesome, man. You can't beat the Outer Limits. You know, I didn't watch a lot of Outer Limits, but I saw a lot of the reruns of the Alfred Hitchcock Presents, and that was a really good one. And, of course, Twilight Zone.
Hitchcock is a tremendous show, and I love those episodes that he actually directed.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's so cool that every now and then, I don't know if it was to like stay sharp in between movies or the challenge of doing something on a shorter schedule or whatever. But that is like one of the coolest things about Hitchcock was every now and then beyond the funny intros that are always fantastic, that he actually was like, yeah, all right, I'm going to direct this one. Great. And also Norman Lloyd, who is still alive and like 104 or 105.
Dang,
you know that character actor? You know what I'm talking about? He was on St. Elsewhere. He plays Captain Picard's archaeology teacher on Next Generation. Incredible man who goes back to the 30s as far as acting and was in Hitchcock's Saboteur. He was the producer of Alfred Hitchcock Presents in the 50s.
Nice.
And I mean, he was really one of Hitchcock's closest collaborators over the years. Really amazing guy. And so I'm a massive fan. Oh, that's funny. Everybody, of course, acknowledging The Outer Limits, and then also Gretzky, Dark Shadows. You know, I'm watching Dark Shadows. Rob, it's on at 4 a.m. on Decades. Oh, is that the Attaboy? Nice.
This is a 9.0 Dark Shadows, very high grade, very hard to get in a high grade, and it's got the blue label, meaning it has the included poster with Jonathan Frid himself. And you know, this picture is a portrait in the background. I also have the same one right there.
Oh, that's awesome. Yeah, you do. Holy shit, that's fantastic, man.
You know, it's one of those Easter eggs, you know, here at the Great Legend Show headquarters. You know?
Yeah, that's amazing, man. Well, you know, here I'll adjust this and get it out of the way. But I do have some original art, and that's a great one right there. Or actually, two things. They are Amazing Spider-Man daily strips. I should really take a photo and pop it on the screen for a future episode.
Yeah,
but they're from the daily strip. Stanley wrote them.
All right.
Larry Lieber penciled them. And Alex Saviuk did the inking.
Dang.
And I bought them from Alex.
That's a damn good trifecta
they're
right
amazing.
there.
I love Alex. Alex is a great guy and a really tremendous, incredible artist that, and I mean this as a true compliment, not only his own style, but when necessary could mimic, you know, great styles. And in fact, really did help Will Eisner with that last 5-page story where the spirit met the escapist, Michael Chabon's superhero. And I mean, I've seen Eisner's original breakdowns and I've seen Alex's finishes, and it really is like 80% Alex. I mean, you know, Will did block everything, but his pencils are really, really rough. And you know, and Alex just made it look like Will Eisner, classic Will Eisner. So.
Helping the guy out. Maybe Will Eisner was getting a little bit of the shakes, you know, in the later years or something. And hey, his buddy made, you know, that's what it's all about, respecting your elders and doing them good, you know.
Yeah, man. No, absolutely. Well, you know, too, speaking of our elders, we both had a great experience in the last few months. Hosting some drink and draws, and I know you did the one on December 30th with Ryan, another mainframe guy, and then of course I just did one a couple Fridays ago, and it was a blast. And isn't it great just to be able? I mean, and I don't know how many conventions where you've had that opportunity, but luckily sometimes I'm in the green room and everything, and I can really or at the bar at the end of the night and stuff, and just hear these guys BSing and just telling their stories, man. And again, that's one of the reasons why I do Word Balloon is I'm greedy. I'm like, sit at my bar and tell these stories, man. You know?
That's right. You know, John, what I love about the cons is just that, you know, you don't have to like be real close to them or be the one interviewing. You could just be sitting and listening to a panel, or like you said, hey, if you're at the same bar or restaurant, and you know, because John Sunter's fans, he knows quite a few of these folks here, so he may get invited to some of these secret establishments, you know. But yeah, a lot of great fun though.
Well, and some of them do just hang out. You know, that's been the great thing about Terrificon in particular.
Mm-hmm.
And man, I'll tell you, certainly every week we get more positive news about treatment for COVID,
Yep.
and that live events might be coming back. Man, that would be great if I
Mm-hmm.
could get to Connecticut and feel, I'll be honest, feel safe about it.
Yeah.
I'll totally go because it's such a great time. And the great thing is, at a venue like Terrificon, everyone's just hanging out because it's just this nice resort casino that
Mm-hmm.
has so many options. But really, the common places are still big enough where you could go and have plenty of room to sit down and relax and gather a small group and have a great conversation. And God, I mean, I ran into just going up. I thought I was going to bed, and I run into Jerry Ordway, Brett Blevins, and Barry Kitson all
Mm-hmm.
together. And it was hilarious because I know Jerry. I've gotten to know Jerry very well. In fact, he's good friends with Mitch Halleck, the guy who runs Terrificon in Connecticut.
Mm-hmm.
But I meet Brett Blevins, and it's very cool, and I'm a big Brett Blevins fan. And then they go, and this is Barry Kitson. And immediately I go from like 7 to like 15 because I'm like, oh, Barry Kitson. Hey, how you doing? Man, I got to tell you, I'm a huge fan. I love everything you do with Mark Waid. And Brett's like, what am I, chopped liver? Literally says that. And I'm like, Brett, I'm so sorry, but I go, you'll forgive me. You're amazing. But like, you have a connection with certain artists, man. And I had never met Barry before. I still haven't had him on Word Balloon, but I was just like, I've always loved his stuff, even, and this is ridiculous to say, but even like non-DC and Marvel stuff that he's done, like that story he did with I think it was Empire, where it's about like a Doctor Doom guy that conquers the world and wipes out the super villains, and it becomes very operatic where all these underlings are trying to kill him and stuff like that. And it's Kitson and Mark Waid, and it's amazing. It's one of my favorite stories they did.
And when they have those combos like that and they work so well together, it's like magic on the pages,
Absolutely. Oh, something, Henry, you're very sweet, and you say, can I show the Tony DeZuniga Jonah Hex? I should have had that prepared. I didn't. I apologize. It might be on my iPad. I might be. Well, no, it's on my. Well, I'll see. If it's a photo on my iPad, I'll scroll through while we're going through this stuff because I did pull a bunch of collectibles out.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't do any original art or anything. The only comic I have is this Nick Cardy cover.
Look, put on the big screen. I love Nick Cardy.
Oh yeah,
look at there. Beautiful cover.
So that's the Death of Aquaman, and it was funny. I was showing this the other night on the Yeah podcast, and Mike Nagan is like, "Hey, is that Q like colored in?" And I said, "No, you can't really see it, but that's a black wreath because it's the Death of Aquaman."
Mm-hmm.
And and it's one of those. Obviously, it's a fake out cover, but you appreciate it and everything, and it's just so cool because even Batman's wearing his underwater dome, and the fact that Metamorpho and Hawkman are the other pallbearers. I think that really speaks to the specific era that this was made and who DC was trying to push back then.
Mm-hmm.
And of course, Mara and Wonder Woman mourning in the background. So there you go. That's the only comic book that I pulled. But I have other weird things, and this is why there's a couple things I want to talk about, Rob.
Sure.
Really, I do want to see more examples of your collection. But isn't it this last 12 months with COVID and everything has been such an interesting time to observe and participate in from a collector's standpoint? Because I think because we were all shut in, we want something to play with, and if we can't go outside and play, I need new toys. I mean, it's that basic. Right?
That's it. The hands are at they're at the keyboard at all times, whether it's your phone, tablet, or a computer. You can get this stuff. You can order it, and John, the whole past 12 months, the COVID just is bringing a lot of negativity. A lot of people are depressed and everything, and anxiety's at the all-time high. So they're going to take a little bit of that piece of the pie and buy something they enjoy. And I think that's great, so it's very, very cool. And it's interesting, right, John, to see these prices of this stuff blow up,
And that's the other thing, Rob. And again, as someone who's been doing this for years, has it gotten crazier in the last couple years with speculation and the movie and TV tie-ins that, it's so interesting that these connections are being made, and all of a sudden, very ordinary comics are now hot comics. And I know you know more about that, so feel free to share your thoughts.
It's like what was once ordinary is now extraordinary. At least these prices. So we take a look at just movies in general, since I would say the beginning of the MCU with Iron Man was a big start of it. I think that got more eyes on comic book collecting, comic book reading, and they wanted to know, your normal fan, not a diehard fan, but just a movie fan wants to know more about this Tony Stark guy. So they do the research and they start to learn. For me, being in the YouTube comic book community, it seems to be, I first saw tons of the speculation and tons of the boom probably around 2016, and ever since then it's just gotten just multiplied by about 100 every year.
Can you point to any specific tie-in that, because even going back to what you said about Iron Man, how much was Tales of Suspense, whatever it was, prior to the movie, and how much did it jump up? I mean, did it jump up from being low 4 figures to high 5 figures, high 6 figures? I don't know.
I remember it being lower 4 figures for like a nice copy. And then, of course, if you sell like a 7.0 or, just some higher copy, most likely in the 5 figures, of course, now. I don't know where, because I'm not too much of an Iron Man fan. But the great thing is these movies and the hype and the speculation, it brings stuff out. I was always telling my buddies at the Comic Corps, I think this character here, he needs to get his own movie. Police Comics #1, Plastic Man's first appearance. A lot of cool characters from Quality Comics that don't get too much love. Now we had Human Bomb and Phantom Lady. They showed up later in the Freedom Fighters, and that's their first appearances too. So I love that first appearance of Phantom Lady. Firebrand. He was a suave millionaire type guy. He was
sorry,
really
man.
cool.
I was looking up information. Go ahead, bring it back up there.
No, the old Firebrand here giving a little uppercut to that guy. But Plastic Man's first appearance, a good 5.5 blue label. I bought this years ago just because I liked the Quality Comics. I really liked the Human Bomb and Phantom Lady.
Sure, me too. Oh yeah, Human Bomb is
Man.
Weirdly fascinating character. Who's on the cover again? Who is that on the cover?
We've got the Firebrand. This guy right here, that's Firebrand. Now he was
just Firebrand.
Yeah, Firebrand. And there's been a lot of Firebrands in the history of DC, but the first one, always a rich guy, but wants to beat the crap out of people at night. Kind of reminds me of Batman, and then
Crimson Avenger. Yeah, all those things. And you're right. Yeah, they Roy Thomas, I believe Roy Thomas kills off the original Firebrand, and then it passes on to the woman Firebrand.
Yeah, the woman Firebrand. And this one is another one of the moderns before, eventually throughout the show, I'll get to those silvers and golds, because we have a big 60th. We got the big 60th anniversary of something coming pretty soon. Hint, hint. But
yeah, you're right. Jesus.
This book here, Saga, the incentive cover here, the one that was hard as hell to get, 9.8, the best you can get, basically. Signed by Brian K. Vaughan and Fiona Staples. This book goes for a pretty good 4 figures. Now, of course, didn't buy it at 4 figures. Bought it down at upper 3 figures.
Good for you, man. That's great.
Years ago, I remember the hype around Saga. It was around 2012. Everyone was talking about it. So I get to the shop. I already had one pre-ordered, so I didn't have to worry about it. But I saw this speculator guy. He had a freaking stack of them. There must have been maybe 15. I don't know. It just felt like he had a big old stack of just Saga #1. So if he would have held on to those, even the regular just Saga ones, not the incentive covers, are in the triple figures. And
are they? I mean, I know Vaughn has a million things in development, including, and I think the closest to finally coming out is Y: The Last Man. But is Saga in development as well? I imagine it is.
They're on break right now. My main man over there on Wednesday on Comic Corps, the greatest show on that's what they call them. I don't know what the hell if they're great or not. But hey, he loves some Saga, and he said that he thinks. I don't know if he thinks they're done, but I think they're going to come back. I think
I meant is it going to be a television show or a film?
Oh, I have heard rumblings, but I've heard that this one. Let me find it. I don't know if I've got it. Maybe I put it back because I didn't.
Because isn't that? Don't you think that is as you said with the first Iron Man and other examples? Like obviously, I think it is the movie and TV tie-ins. And in fact, even I was looking at Bleeding Cool today, and they were talking about the Wonder Woman origin that I believe is in 98. I'm scrolling down to see Wonder Woman 98. And
Okay.
that's kind of the first time that they referenced that she flies on air currents and basically
Ah.
catches an updraft. And that's how, kind of like the Flying Nun, but without the hat, basically.
You gotta love it. You gotta
So-
love old Sally. Classic. Yeah. Old kitchen.
I love when she'd hold down the flapper and everything, and then ying.
Yeah, she aim it just right. I was going
I
to
would
show another one, but
No,
I don't have
do it
with
as
me.
you're doing that because I'll finish my Flying Nun thought. I wonder who was on the wires for the long shots, and has anyone ever interviewed the real actual Flying Nun other
Yeah, the
than
one that was flying
Sally
up
Field
there.
in front of the green screen doing this crap and everything, you know?
God, so freaking awesome. I was
What do
going
you
to
got?
let you know, Brian K. Vaughan, Paper Girls 1 is supposed to be a TV show or
Yes.
movie. That's going to be excellent. I would love to like do the maybe 3 seasons. I still need to get the third deluxe hardcover, but I have issue 1 in the closet, quadruple signed by the whole creative team. But going back in time on the rewind from the Dawn and Maggie collection, this is one of those pedigrees. And this is one of my favorite villains because I'm a huge fan of the Frightful Four. And this is Strange Tales 102, a pedigree grade at a 9.4. Got that black label. And it's from the Don and Maggie collection. It has the Wizard's first appearance. And then the Wizard, his second buddy.
That's Don and Maggie Thompson, am I correct?
Yeah, the big comic book collection that they put together through the years, all near mint, pretty much. Amazing.
Rob, have you ever seen? We had Jamie Farr on the podcast, and he did a cameo for us, and he talked about how he, as a kid, was a massive collector of comics and loved superheroes, and proved his shit. He pulls up a Jules Pfeiffer comic book heroes book, and he's like, "Oh, and not just Superman and Batman. I liked the Spectre and Hawkman and Bullet Man." He's naming like
All
legit 40s golden age people, and it's like, wow. And then he just kept going. So we found Chaikin, Howard, like, not to name drop, but it's the truth. Chaikin's like, "Have you ever seen this clip?" And it's another Mike Douglas episode, and it's Phil Suling. Have you seen this with his original comic book collection? And he's holding up golden age books that look pristine. Unbelievable. And they're not bound in any way. They're just the books themselves. And maybe because 1940s paper, they were probably sturdy enough to handle that kind of handling and stuff. And Jamie Farr is like hanging on every word. Like, "Oh, I used to have all these," and he's like, I had them in a big barrel, and then I got drafted. And he goes, "When I came home from the army, my mom gave away all my comics." He goes, "It's the classic story." But he met Bob Kane, and he got a Batman sketch from Bob Kane, just like crazy shit. And this thing, it's on YouTube, and it's totally worth watching. And there's a surprise at the end where Mike Douglas is like, "Hey, Jamie, for being host this week, we're set up a lunch date with you with Red Sonja, everybody." And it's Wendy Pinney in the Red Sonja costume.
Dang,
and it's so funny because it's listed on YouTube as Wendy Pinney as Red Sonja. She literally shows up in like the last 10 seconds of this like 3-minute video, and it's all Jamie Farr and Phil Suling drooling over Golden Age comics, and it's just fantastic. So I highly recommend it.
God, that's the best thing. And was that on the Mike Douglas show when those two guys were on there?
Yeah.
Oh, that's classic. Everyone who does not know the Mike Douglas show, do yourself a favor. Freaking look up Mike Douglas. Watch some of those classic people on his show and learn like what pop culture was, what it used to be. But this is
here's another one.
Another book. This is a couple of issues later at 104. The first appearance of one of my other favorites, Paste Pot Pete. Shooting the glue gun.
Absolutely, man.
Nice 8.0, Stan Lee, Larry Lieber on both the Strange Tales with some of that classic Ditko in there, too.
Absolutely. No, that's awesome. And yeah, Paste Pot Pete, fuck you with the Trapster. You're Paste Pot Pete.
Yeah, that's it. I love how
man, you're screwed.
They still make jokes about it when Trapster comes around. They'll always call him Paste Pot Pete or Pissy Pete, or they'll say something like that, One funny thing was another book that I wanted to get, mainly because I'm a huge Frightful Four fan. I wanted to get the first appearance of the Wizard and Paste Pot Pete becoming a little team up, a little villain team up. And that happened in this Strange Tales 110, a 4.5. It's one of those gold labels too. It's a Strange Tales 110. First Paste Pot Pete and Wizard team up. Stan Lee on the signed the freaking there's no air in there, and Human Torch is trying to get out. And of course, this book is also known for the first appearance of another classic mystic character. Actually, a bunch of them. Doctor Strange, Ancient One, Nightmare, and Wong. So you're getting a lot of your Doctor Strange characters.
Yeah, that's the whole origin. Yeah.
And I got this way before the Doctor Strange movie came out, which was good because usually when the trailer of these things drop, you're going to overpay most of the time because that's when the sellers are really going to nickel and dime you.
Absolutely. So I mean, again, you don't have to. I don't need to know specifically how much you spend. I'm not the IRS, but
really, a great deal because the 4 figures. But keep in mind, for $1,500. Well, okay, both of these books for $1,500 here. That one there at a 4.5. Now this one is awesome. It is the Sandman's second appearance, signed by Stan Lee. You got a little Spider-Man in there, so Human Torch and Spider-Man. So with I got the Amazing Spider-Man. I believe it was number 4. I always forget my numbers, but it's first Sandman is in there. But I really love this cover a lot more because the number 4 of Amazing Spider-Man 1, it's kind of cut into squares and all, but I really like that one because Sandman's really pouring it on.
Who's the cover artist?
Jack Kirby and Steve Ditko comboing it.
Interesting.
Mm-hmm.
Interesting.
Yeah, and that's okay. Now this one though, for 110, you do get the Kirby cover for the old.
Okay.
There, but I loved it because it seemed with Strange Tales during that 60s run, you had more of that that team of 4. That is a Fantastic Four: Stan Lee, Larry Lieber, Jack Kirby, Steve Ditko. I mean, holy hell, it doesn't get much better than that. I mean,
and Dick Ayers and Don Heck, and I mean, and I'm forgetting some of the other guys.
You can go down the bench, man, and the bullpen actually, and they've got them ready to go.
When I did Drink and Draw 2 weeks ago, we got on a riff about Iron Man and that notch on his nose. And you know who created the notch, don't you?
Was it Don Heck?
No, it wasn't Don Heck, but it's a good guess.
It may be later. It was later. That guy. How about who did the Demon in the Bottle? That
no, it wasn't that long. It was earlier than that. It was in the 60s.
God, I don't know.
It was a very brief time. George Tuska.
Okay, shoot, I would have never known that.
And we have learned the origin of the notch for Iron Man's faceplate, and the reason why was some reader wrote in and said, "Hey, how does Iron Man breathe?
Yeah,
is it just the grill on the eye slits and that's it? Yeah. And where's his nose?" Mm-hmm. And Stan tells them, "Hey, give him a nose." So George Tuska happened to be the Iron Man artist then, and so for that brief time, like a year or whatever, he had the nose. And whoever was the artist that followed him or the editor is like, "Can we lose the nose?" And they go to Stan like, "Stan, the artist doesn't want to do the nose. Can we lose the nose?" And of course, Stan's answer was, "What nose?" And it went away. And I said, my favorite brief Iron Man aesthetic in his face was the points at the top of the faceplate. It only lasted, I think, only like 2 or 3 issues. That was it. And I love that. And I met Dick Ayers before he passed away, and I commissioned him to do that Iron Man with the faceplate like that. And I know he never drew him, but at least he's of that era and was part of the bullpen back then. So I'm like, close enough. That's fine. I'm not. I'd love to get Don Heck on the Ouija board and have him scrawl possess me so I can draw it.
Yeah, but, that's right.
So that's seriously, folks, the next time I talk about collectibles, I'll take like photos of all my art that's like hanging right now, and the stuff that isn't. But I've got amazing stuff. But honestly, what I've been buying this last year is fun stuff. But I think I don't know, maybe something in my brain is making me pick stuff that is like too obscure to ever go up in value. And one thing I've been getting, first of all, I started buying these albums, and I'll show the albums in a second. but they were produced in the late 50s. They were reissued in the 70s. I don't need originals. I just wanted these things for what they were. And it was called Co-Star. And they're these albums that come with a script, and you can perform a scene with a famous movie or television star and see how it sounds or whatever. And I'm going to juice them up, and I'm going to absolutely put them on the channel here, and as little ridiculous things.
I love that. That sounds good.
There's one, I didn't get the album, but it's online, and I downloaded the cuts of Vincent Price. And among the scenes with Vincent Price, there's a Western where it's a poker scene, and he's like the shady gambler. But I also got here. I'm going to reach for it. The one of the best people I got, and in this one, it's a safe cracking scene, and this guy is the experienced crook, and you are the unexperienced crook. But it's Cesar Romero.
Oh yeah, classic.
If you can see him.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, these are, and it's from Roulette Records. Roulette Records was run by this guy named Morris Levy. Was totally mobbed up, absolutely a mob, like laundering money record place, a classic place. So they made no money on these things. They were a total failure. They made 15 of them, but it was literally his favorite like idea for Roulette Records, and he had among other people, one of his big bands was Tommy James and the Shondells. So Moni Moni and Crystal Blue Persuasion, songs like that. I mean, he made millions off of Tommy James, and Tommy James saw nothing. So classic mob sad story and everything. But
awesome.
So I got those, and then it reminded me when I was a kid, and was in my early days in radio and also in college radio. We would get from the record labels what were called open-end interviews. And what they were basically what they said. You'd get a script, and there'd be a famous, like, these are the Beatles,
mm-hmm.
and this is the open-end interview for the movie Help. And so now you could be in Middleton, Texas, and be like, no, not Middleton. What's the oil? Midland, thank you.
Yeah.
That's what I meant, Midland. So so the local guy in Midland, Texas, could go, hey, here's my interview with the Beatles about their brand new movie Help.
Mm-hmm.
And you could do this, and you could customize these for the local people. So I got the Beatles,
mm-hmm.
I got Sammy Davis Jr., I have Tom Jones, and then I have, do you remember a guy named Pat Paulson?
No, I don't.
Pat Paulson was on the Smothers Brothers in the 60s,
mm-hmm.
this deadpan, dry comedian, and one of his shticks was he would run for president every 4 years. And he was really, like, it's ridiculous. You can find him on YouTube, and it's an interview with him in 1968 running for president.
Dang.
But yeah, so those are, and I got them, and they weren't crazy. They weren't crazy price. And also vinyl, you either got to be into vinyl or not. And then, I mean, start cutting the pie smaller and smaller when you get to, all right, are you into vinyl, and are you into weird specialty albums like this? I mean, I don't know anyone younger than me that is actually out there looking for this shit. I'm sure I am the youngest person looking for this. And this is where I think I'm lucky, where my collectible mind goes. They're not things that are going to jump up in price as crazy as, the comic stuff has. And I'm just, like I said, I've been fascinated, watching you guys on Golden Guys talk about it. But, Chad told me about the WandaVision thing with White Vision.
Yeah.
And that was just a run-of-the-mill West Coast Avengers issue. Mm-hmm. And now it's in the four figures now or more?
Four figures. And what was crazy was you can get maybe like a 9.0 or 9.2 of the normal Vision first appearance for less than a 9.8 White Vision first appearance. It's just kind of crazy. But
yeah, it makes no sense. Exactly.
I think for a lot of it, maybe some of it is uneducated comic buyers. Maybe they're just like really rich or something. They're just buying them up, but it's interesting to see a book shoot up even higher than the normal first appearance of Vision,
And is it's both asking price and they're getting that price? I mean, that's the thing, because the first lesson of watching Pawn Stars, online it's going for $10,000. So yeah, that's the asking price.
Yeah, you got to get those. You got to do the old classic completed or sold items to make sure what they're going, the real going rate. Then there's a lot of websites that'll let folks know. There's GPA analysis and Go Collect. I used to use GPA analysis quite a bit. I still do, but just not as much. But I was able to. I usually use that most of the time to set my prices when I'm selling books. My main thing.
No, that's great to know. And I was going to ask you, where do you go for like good information? You know, and I don't mind saying it. I'm sorry. When Wizard Magazine was up and active, I thought that, I mean, I appreciated the articles that they would do, and it was a fun magazine to read, but how it tried to position itself as a collector, buying list or buyer's guide.
That's right.
I just thought that was the biggest crock of shit. And as someone who doesn't even participate in buying that stuff, like I bought that Aquaman purely for the Nick Cardy cover, because that period of Nick Cardy covers, those Teen Titan things, those and the Aquaman covers, those are the only Silver Age things I want. That I really would be like, you know, if I got a little money to burn, and they're not crazy expensive either. I like that Aquaman cost me $20.
See, that's freaking awesome.
And I love it because it's just this beautiful icon, like crazy cover. It's Aquaman. It was before, or actually it was after the movies, now that I think about it. So for whatever reason, and again, it's blonde Teutonic Aquaman versus Jason Momoa, earthy Aquaman, you know. I don't know. It's so weird. But anyway, I hated that about, and I wondered, did you feel that way about Wizard? And were you collecting that?
I picked up a couple of Wizards. That I was around 1991 was when I started doing comics. Going regularly to the shop, not regularly, maybe twice a month. It's just as good as I could do. But yeah, I picked up random comics. Most of my favorites were all Fantastic Four back issues, and I did pick up some new issues. My very first comic, let me show you this. My grandmother bought me this comic when we went to the store, and I want to say it was a grocery store, but I don't know because it was so long ago, and this is a direct edition, so I'm not sure if I got this from the shop or what. But yeah, my grandmother bought this for me. It's Amazing Spider-Man 319, and it's the main event. You'll like this cover. It's kind of reminds you of a little boxing action there.
Sure.
Amazing event. You got Spider-Man versus the Rhino, Backlash, and Scorpion. And it's a Todd McFarlane cover, of course. In 1989, I didn't really know. Hell, this was the very first comic I ever bought. Funny thing about it was I just sent this off to get graded and with CBCS. And as a kiddo, I had read it so much I had pushed my fingernail through the cover of the book. But they pressed it. You can't even really tell.
No.
I mean, it's 6.5, so I'm really glad. And this was the original, this was sitting in a drawer about 3 years before I knew what a back and a board was. But I'm glad I kept that one,
You see, and I'm the kind of, I'm more of a reader. Yeah. So even the things that I would buy if I could find them, and I even have on occasion, I guess what I look for are Bronze Age Marvel black and white magazines. I love that stuff, all that stuff. But then they came out with the Doc Savage hardcover collection. I forget if it was Dark Horse or whomever had the license at the moment to republish that stuff, or all the great Planet of the Apes black and white magazine stuff.
Yeah.
Boom has the license now, and they've been putting out great collections. Or the Creepy and Eerie's, any of those black and white magazines. Awesome. Yeah, same with the Spirit. But if I've got access to them digitally, or in a nice hardcover, I don't need to spend the money, and I just want to see them. But I will say what I love about the originals, and I wonder how much you're collecting and you're slabbing them and everything. But God, I got to tell you, man, half the time it's those Johnson Company ads and Charles Atlas and Dynamic Tension.
Charles Atlas.
Come on, man. Yeah. Absolutely. I mean, no, those are as much fun as the stories. Or Irish Snap's house ads for other DC magazines.
Yep.
And those great fonts that he would create and all the logos that he did and stuff like that. Again, just as exciting as whatever the comic is that I got in my hands.
One of the best about the originals is they do have all the old ads, which are a lot of fun. They always, let me show you this one, that they're going to be doing a lot of this book. And I'll go ahead and show it to you just to get it out of the way, And this is the Three Stooges, there's three Holy Grails. Three Stooges was one of the Holy Grails. This is the second Holy Grail because it's my favorite Marvel comic of all time. A 5/5 Fantastic Four #1.
Yeah, man. I know. Goddamn. I've seen you. Yeah, I've seen that. You've shown that on Golden Guys.
Stan the man coming out of the mouth there. 5/5. So years ago, I don't mind telling you, I don't know the exact price, but I did get this under 8,000. I did one of those making offers. You know, a lot of times what people don't understand, or what I see, a lot of the rookies, man, they don't do the make offer. Always make an offer. God, maybe they'll accept it and you'll get a freaking good deal. So I got this under 8K, and it was a sweet elderly couple, and they said, I'll give it a great home. It's off white to white pages as well. I mean, that's pretty awesome. And of course, they're celebrating that 60th anniversary. Yeah. We're gonna have the movie pretty soon, so you can bet that this one, the going rate I think is around 22 or 25K right now.
And that's gonna go up.
And that'll go up once the movie comes out and things like that. And you know, the villain they always go against is this guy, Dr. Doom.
Enter
number 5. Enter Dr. Doom, man. Another classic, and it's off white to white, first Dr. Doom. So that's going to go up. That's a 5/0. And that was really the book that pissed me off the most because it was like the last key I needed, and he was their most evil villain. You know, their arch rival was the last key I needed. And God damn it, I think I had to pay about $3,000 for that. And Doom, I hate Dr. Doom, and the reason is he always he messes with the 4, man, and I don't like it. I'm such a Fantastic Four fan. I don't want him meddling in their business. So they're selling it. They're selling the story to me perfectly.
See, and you know, dude, once again, you're pushing my buttons in the best way because, and forgive me, everybody watching and listening. I know I always say this, but I love Doom. I love the relationship he has with the 4, but particularly of all people. It's easy to say him and Reed, and absolutely, it's amazing. But it's him and Ben. Like if there's somebody like Victor Von Doom secretly wants to be Reed Richards, would never admit it. He hates Ben Grimm because Ben Grimm represents everything that is the opposite of him, and they are having the exact same fight that they've had ever since they met each other in college, where literally the subtext is, fuck you, you dumb jock. I have always hated you, and even now, when you are uglier than you were then and covered in rocks, I hate you even more. And the whole time, Ben is like, fuck you, Vic. I've never been impressed with you. I'm still not impressed with you. And you can call on the demons of hell, and you're still that little that little pinheaded nerd that I couldn't wait to crush every time I saw you on campus. And I love that. It's like, that's to me, like the writers that get to the heart of that, where it's just like grim. And it's like, you know, Vic, I'm just tired of your shit. And Piff. And it's great. It's like, yeah, man, that's it.
Usually those two, it always ended after he said it's clobbering time somewhere down the line.
Exactly. And that's what I mean. It's like that scene in the Avengers movie when the Hulk is just pounding the ground with Loki. And it's just like, I am not impressed with you. Just Biff.
This one,
and I love that. But Doom is amazing. Come on. He stole the Silver Surfer's powers. He killed Ben in the great run with Ringo and Mark Waid.
John, Synchronicity, Silver Surfer.
Oh, please stand by.
Little Galactus.
There it is, indeed.
Galactus, the first part of the Galactus trilogy. 9.4. Bought it for 4 figures back in 2013. Of course, in the 5 figures, it's in the 2 but very expensive. And then my last two, we still got to show some more stuff because I want to see. I was hoping you'd have some of the stuff you told me you're going to have. But here's my last two comics, and I only busted out a couple of the Golden Age books because if you want to see some of the hottest Golden Age books with the hottest Golden Age looks, you're going to check out Tuesday nights, 9 Central, 10 Eastern, the hottest show on Tuesday night, The Golden Guys, only on the Comic Core. But hey, right here, first appearance of my favorite Billy Batson right there, people.
Yes, because there was no Wiz Comics #1. It all started with Wiz #2.
Yeah, now which Ashcan? The Ashcan, they had, I remember when the Ashcan was on sale on eBay, and usually it was in the 6 figures, and I was like, nope, I can't pay $100K.
I understand, man. No, but that's amazing. And
the second appearance too, John.
Oh no, shit! Hold on, stand by.
He's throwing some of them bad Germans there, man.
I like it.
Now, both of these are restored grade, but I'm so happy to get them, and they're beautifully and they're professionally restored. So
does that bring? Obviously, that brings the
value down. So you got to figure in for restored grade, and it's always been restored grade 10% of the value of what the normal grade would be, and it's up there, usually 10 to 25%, depending on.
Wait. So like $100,000 book, if it's restored, is only 10,000.
Yeah, that's pretty much. You could look at it like that,
that far of a drop.
Yeah, but the good thing is, it was just enough drop where I could get it.
And absolutely, man. No.
Good stuff too.
No, if anything, that's great.
That's the best for the buyers right there. So like me and John been telling you fans, it works both ways. So it's the collector comic craze.
What do they do to restore? Like what do they?
What's cool is on a restored grade label, it's a purple label to let folks know visually that it's restored, but it'll let you know in fine print. The restoration includes color touch. It could be pieces added.
Sure.
Spine split sealed.
Okay.
Cleaned and reinforced.
Okay.
And then on this one here, all 3 edges are trimmed, so they're real nice and straight cut.
Right.
The folks here were just going for just, I guess, with pieces added and everything. Maybe this thing looked like a piece of crap before. I don't know.
Well, so I guess it's for presentation, I suppose, or preservation.
Both, both of those. Yeah, both of those. Preservation mainly for that book, but either or. I mean, it's all in the eye of the beholder, because my dad got me onto this superhero back in the day, and I fell in love with that character.
That's funny. Go on. Yeah.
I watched the 70s show as a kid. Going back and watching it, it's pretty funny. Pretty funny. But anyway, bad. It's like, oh my God, I loved this as a kid. But as a kid, it's like me and John said, through different decades of your own age and your own journey of life, you're going to find out things you may not like that you liked as a young kid watching Saturday morning cartoons.
I always say the Saturday morning live action Shazam show is so tame. Mm-hmm. It makes black and white first couple seasons of Adventures of Superman look like Pulp Fiction.
Yeah,
because it is like there's guns and real action is happening in the George Reeves show, and Captain Marvel is pulling kids out of trees.
Yeah,
and or hey, that plane's sort of wobbling a little bit. All right, I'll hold on to it. Wow, that's amazing.
It's not like the old Captain Marvel from the old Republic days, the old the old serials.
Tom Tryon, absolutely.
Yeah, they were guerrilla pressing like Germans off bridges.
That is the best.
Yeah,
I mean, and some people will say Spy Master, but for me, The Adventures of Captain Marvel is the best
one of your favorite
cliffhanger of superheroes. Absolutely.
Man.
And 2 things. I want to say they wanted to do Superman but couldn't get the rights because Columbia had already beaten them to it, so that's why they did the Captain Marvel one. But regarding your father's connection to Captain Marvel, that's hilarious because I was on a summer trip to Wisconsin from Illinois. We're in the Dells. We're at some souvenir shop, and the giant Treasury Edition white covered Shazam is sitting there for $1, brand new.
Dang.
And my dad's like, "Hey, Captain Marvel! I loved Captain Marvel. We're buying this." And I'm like, "Okay." I'm like 6 years old. I'm like, "Okay, it's a superhero. I'm sure I'll love it." And it was hilarious. And he read it because he's like, "I remember these stories. This is fantastic." And it's funny you showed the Coming to Galactus. A lot of my introduction to the Marvel Universe started with those Treasury editions.
Yeah.
And, the Fantastic Four Treasury edition is the Coming of Galactus. And they cut out Johnny Goes to College, which is awesome to see in the actual book. These weird, all of a sudden, it's like, okay, the universe might actually cease to exist. Meanwhile, see you, Johnny. Have a good time at college.
Johnny goes,
okay. And that's where Wyatt Wingfoot shows up for the first time.
Yeah.
So good stuff, man. Good stuff. But it was the Treasury editions that introduced me to the Fantastic Four and the Avengers and Doctor Strange. So that was kind of my early Marvel education. My family were DC people, and I remember getting as a little kid hand-me-down comics of 12-cent books and the 80-page giants. That's another one. I'm glad I remember this, Rob, because I would have written notes, but I knew we'd have just fun winging it tonight.
Yeah, hell yeah.
I wonder if with Superman and Lois, that classic Silver Age story, which I believe was originally either in an 80-page giant or maybe they reprinted it for an 80-page giant, because I know that was the way they did those things. But it was that imaginary story where Superman has sons and one is superpowered and one isn't. And it's a great classic Kurt Swan drawn.
Oh.
I mean, if you were 9 years old, it absolutely was the Superman story you wanted to read. And all of a sudden, there's these 2 9-year-old sons of Superman, and one is just like him, and the brown-haired one doesn't have powers. So I wonder if that's going to jump up in price when somebody suddenly realizes, hey, this is, you can make that connection to the Superman and Lois show. I don't know.
And well, here's the thing, John. The fans out there of wordballoon.com, they just have the podcast and this video on pause while they're looking it up right now. They're going to go buy it off eBay.
Exactly, man. Well, and also, Rob, again, you started really before the internet craze became what it is. Do you miss the pursuit of, and I'm sure it still happens with conventions and going to stores and stuff like that, but is it more satisfying stumbling on something like that, or but also then again, you're connecting with like people who, hey, my grandfather was a big Superman collector and I could give 2 shits, and I got like 200 comics sitting in my crawl space. Do you want them for $1, or whatever?
Yeah, if someone has that kind of deal, hell yeah, that would be a great time going through some old books like that. I would love that. But it's like a double-edged sword. In one way, it's simple to just stay at home and not worry about it. And if you have the money to spend and you think you got a good deal on it, pull the old trigger. I've bought plenty of books. I bought that Dark Shadows one from Heritage Auctions, and so I bought some books. That's kind of the Heritage Auctions, Comic Link. Those, to me, that's where the big boys play. While eBay is kind of my little, some of my lower tiers.
But that makes sense. And I was going to ask you about that difference. And again, I just had this guy on who did a great documentary about the Olympic Auditorium. And it's a great movie, and the stuff he got was amazing. But he was talking about the memorabilia, and literally, and I had Eddie Muller on the show as well from Turner Classic Movies, who I love. The guy's amazing. And they both were talking about how it's great discovering this stuff. Like I said, in Grandpa's attic, that, oh my God, that ashtray from Sardi's in New York that has a Hirschfeld sketch in it was so important to my grandfather. I give 2 shits about it, and I'm going to throw it away if somebody thankfully didn't come to our garage sale and picked it up. And I mean, you hear those stories and they're totally true. That Action 1 that was found in Alaska that was sitting in a drawer of a dresser for God knows how long and stuff.
Yeah, those are just amazing finds. God, I would love to get my hands on an Action 1, just to have for the historic. I mean,
you've shown some massively, important comics. What is your,
the biggest one? Ollie, my mouse is freezing. Don't you love when you're doing a live show, try to do Windows updates? No, for me, though, it's hard to tell because I've only ever spent up to 4 figures, but it's a tie, I guess, and I can't remember the exact value. I may have paid a little bit less. I think I probably paid about $7,500 on the Wiz number 2. And then this one was a good $8K. They did the
sure.
8 for it.
Well,
The insane thing was my favorite. I remembered him, I thought he was DC for the longest time until my dad smartened me up and said, no, in the Golden Age, it was coming out Fawcett. And these books are actually out selling Action and Superman because they had Captain Marvel in it. They were doing so well. Captain Marvel had his own solo stories and Captain Marvel Adventures. But so I just got lucky. I had the money, I had savings. Within the same year, these 2 things came available, and I jumped on them as quick as I could, because I didn't know. Who knows if I was ever going to get those books again. At the same time, for $11,000, one guy had a 9.4 giant size X-Men 1 and a 9.4 Hulk 181, which were 2 Wolverine keys for like $11K or whatever the heck I just said, some low kind of number like that for 2 9.4s. And I could have got those. My dad loves Wolverine, but I had to get my guys first, and I ended up later on actually from Anthony. You got to love Anthony Snyder. There ain't no one finer. I got Sergeant Rock's first appearance.
Nice.
And I bought the low grade 2.0. Anthony gave me a good 10% off on there, so it turned a 4-figure book into a 3-figure book, and I got Sergeant Rock for my dad. And my dad, he just freaking loved it.
Is that the one with the boxing story where he gets his nickname Rock and everything? Where he
I have not even read it yet. And that's the bad thing. I could read it digitally, but I haven't. Read it yet.
Well, again, that's what I was going to ask too, Rob. If you do open them up and you look at the, like I said, the Johnson ads and for
that's the bad
thing.
Once they're slabbed, you can't look at the ads anymore, which really suck. But
do you have clamshells? Do you have the ones that are you can open up and?
Yeah, I have. I don't. These aren't clamshells, but I do have some of them in the. Not anymore. I had one. I actually got it graded, but it was in a thicker sleeve, but you drop it in. What do they call those? God, I can't remember. I don't use them that much, but those are really good. And of course, most of my raw copies that I do read are on Mylar.
Okay. This guy who owns a store in suburban Chicago, Corey. And I wish I could remember the name of his store. It's an amazing place. Not only comics, but lobby cards, movie posters, all ephemera you can think of. It's amazing. But yeah, he showed me the clamshells. I think when they first came, I had never seen them. This was about 10 or 12 years, maybe 15 years ago or whatever, at some of my first conventions. And it was cool to see that. And again, because, I'll show you as I show you some of my stuff that we talked about. I was a big corgi guy. I was very fortunate having a father who would come home from golf trips and be like, hey, look what I got at the airport. Here's Chitty Chitty Bang Bang. Here's the James Bond car, whatever. And I love those. They were amazing. I did splurge and got one corgi, and it was the GoldenEye Aston Martin from 1994 or whatever. It was $50. And I don't have money to burn, and it's fine because really it's the idea of the corgi cars was enough for me. And again, what I've been collecting in the last year were Hot Wheels or Hot Wheels sized cars that are die-cast metal. And a lot of times are, cars from famous TV shows and movies, like the old corgi cars and stuff. So here's like one right now. This is the Mount Prospect police car from the Blues Brothers. So there you go. There's one. Here's the Jetsons. Classic.
Cool. Yeah, I love that one.
So I had to get, because I love Speed Racer. So I got a Mach 5.
Oh, nice.
And managed to get a Racer X car. And I love the Racer X car. That's a car, man.
Dude,
are you kidding me?
Those
Insane.
Are freaking awesome.
So, and then I remember my nephew just turned 29. And I remember when he was still under 10 years old, when John Glenn flew in the shuttle. They had this Hot Wheels thing. And I bought it for him. And he still has his and everything out of the box. But I love this because it's it's the modern shuttle. It's a Mercury capsule. It's a Mercury astronaut. And I don't know, you can't see, but in the middle, there's an action figure of John Glenn as a senator in a blue suit.
No, I like that. That's cool.
And then you got Space Shuttle John Glenn next to it. So it's like 3 astronauts, 2 spacecraft, and a senator. It's like, all right, or whatever.
Dude, that's awesome.
So, and again, now this is dirt cheap. I mean,
I know that car. I've seen that car.
Exactly. 66 Batmobile Hot Wheels. I mean, you can get it for under $10. And also, so there's Hot Wheels, but then there are a couple other companies that make these cars, and one was Johnny Lightning. And I think maybe the prime of collecting these was like between 2005 and 2010. But like this is the Trans Am from Smokey and the Bandit. So there's the Bandit's car. And this is Mel Gibson's car from Mad Max.
Nice. Very nice.
So that's fun. What else have I got? Now this I love, and literally this was under $10. And that's it. I'm not looking for rare. I'm just looking for cars that I loved as a kid, and I want that great die-cast metal kind of heft to it. So there's the Mystery Machine from Scooby-Doo.
Yeah, that is a good one. Always a red herring.
You can get it for $8. I mean, it's ridiculous, but it's great, and they're die-cast metal, so they got a little heft to them. I mean, and I've got a ton of them. I mean, that's just a few. as examples and stuff. But again, it was just like I said, it's like, no, I got to hold these. And again, I take them out of the box because they're never going to, they made millions of these. Fine.
Yeah.
That's okay. That's all right. When we get live events back, it's been fun learning that certain creators will make custom Mego figures.
Yeah.
And I mean, one of my best friends in comics, Art Baltazar, I've known about his collection. I've seen him work on things. I've seen his workshop and everything. But then in the last 12 months, I've known Ibrahim Mustafa for almost 10 years now. And he's a great artist, amazing. He has a new book for humanoids. It's a sci-fi retelling of the Count of Monte Cristo. It's amazing. And actually, he's about to do a major publicity push for the book again, but we talked a month ago. But he showed me he also makes custom Migos and really gets into it. And he has amazing figures. And then co-creator of The Boys, the great artist Derek Robertson, also does custom Migos.
Dang.
So my intent is at some point when live events happen, and it'll probably be at Terrificon, just because Mitch and I are buddies, and he helps me. He lets me help him with the programming for some of these things. But I want to get Marty Abrams from Mego with these guys and have them show their customs and talk to Murray Abrams. Excuse me, I think it's Murray Abrams. But the guy who created Mego and stuff, and just have them talk about Migos. And I think it would be fantastic, man.
That'd be an excellent panel to have, John. You definitely got to do that because there's a ton of Mego fans out there. I remember Gimpy 204, one of my old cohorts. He doesn't do videos anymore, but humongous Mego fan, and huge fan of Green Lantern and, of course, Planet of the Apes. And when Boom and DC did the Green Lantern Planet of the Apes crossover, he created his own Cornelius Green Lantern. It was pretty freaking.
Oh, that's fantastic!
So he took two Migos. He just basically took the Green Lantern clothes and put them on old Cornelius. So Roddy McDowell never knew he had it in him. He never knew he had it.
So is it Corpse Nelius basically, like Cornelius? Cornelius.
That's what it is. And then I think he did a little. He put something a little green to look like the ring or whatever. But I thought it was kind of cool,
No, it's fantastic. Well, that's the thing. It's like also. Now with 3D printers, I know the evolution in making Migos and stuff, that they'll sculpt these incredibly accurate, like Christopher Reeve Superman heads or Buster Crabbe or Sam Jones Flash Gordon heads. And it's like, that's amazing. So it's really, really cool. Oh, that's fun. What does this say?
What
have some rare gems among them. I enjoyed their book on Superman wasn't Jewish. What?
Yeah. Sometimes you get those weird comments.
All right, then. Thank you. Hey, thanks for chiming in. All right, then.
Jesus. Another one that
I don't know.
I read, this has been going crazy, and I had it in the little baggie here. I just pulled it out. But there are these Marvel Universe Impel Marvel Universe cards.
Oh, yeah.
The old 10 here, the 10 was numbered. Well, I thought this thing was numbered. Maybe the other one's numbered. But this was series 1 of this collection. And really nice cards. Let me get out almost pulled out too many. Of course, look at that old bad boy.
Stand by.
Captain America there. That was that series 1 card. These are by Impel.
I was going to say, do we know who drew them?
No, it doesn't have the artist names on there. I'm sure I could look it up, but it always had some cool information on the back of the card.
Yeah.
And those cards, they have.
Was that Upper Deck? No, you mentioned the company.
It was called Impel.
Impel. Okay.
And really cool cards. And they even have these hologram cards and everything. The hologram cards are what everyone's been wanting. Like there's one right there, a little spider.
Oh, sure, the classics should. I mean, this is kind of what drove me away from the hobby when the hollow covers started happening on comics.
Yeah, that kind of stuff. It's just all it is. That's kind of a cool one. It's just a bunch of gimmicks,
Oh yeah, absolutely. And I didn't mind the gimmicks. It's just that as the gimmicks got heavier, the stories got shittier. And again, at the end of the day, I am a story person, and I want art that tells the story as well. But that was just that period in the 90s when splash pages were more important than storytelling. And no disrespect intended to the artists of that era. I mean, seriously, I will talk to Rob Liefeld every week if he wanted to come on this show, because I really enjoy his conversations, and he's a very interesting person. And I am curious. I mean, even in that period where I wasn't buying, I'm
Mm-hmm.
happy to talk about it and learn about it, because it
Yeah.
is kind of my blind spot. But it wasn't speaking to me, so I went away. And it was when the writing got better in the late '90s that I kind of came back.
Yeah.
So that's just the way my comic book habit kind of went up and down and everything. And now it's been up for Christ, almost, well, certainly at least the last 20 years, and probably about 22 or 23 years.
Mm-hmm.
Yikes.
Dude,
Think about 98.
Here's another one. This is the Series 2 Impel in the 10. Let's see. Is that one numbered? You know, I don't know why these things ain't numbered. I thought these were damn limited edition. Maybe I got screwed. I don't know.
Oh, I've seen that. Yes.
The Series 2 Impel.
Sure.
Now this one,
Yes.
you'll remember this one.
That looks like a McFarlane-ish Spider-Man.
You remember those kind of cards like that?
Yeah.
And then on the back of them, let me show a Spidey one here.
Do they have like power ratings and stuff?
Yeah, that's what I loved about them. They have the little bar graph on there. Little power rating.
Because
look at this guy.
You need the full science of, all right, this is why Spider-Man could destroy Doctor Strange in a fight. And it's like, okay.
And then, of course, you know, that one had its own holograms. I'm not going to get them out because they're in the very bottom. But anyway, those cards themselves, people are sending those to PSA to get graded. And then, you know, the cards are in good condition. They're usually coming back 9 O's or higher, or whatever they're coming back as. And then the thing is, they're selling these PSA. They're like the whole set of the cards in slabs or little PSA mints for about 4 figures, like $1,000 for a set of just. And I was like, I don't know if it would be worth it to slab all those damn cards. I just like collecting them and reading them the back. That's what made me a fan of the
Rob, I would avoid that like the plague coming from sports and watching the boom and bust of the sports collectible world. I mean, and again, maybe that's another reason why, as comic books became more like baseball cards, it really turned me off. And I mean, I was a baseball card collector as a kid, and I remember when Topps no longer was the only publisher of baseball cards, and when Fleer and Donruss suddenly appeared, and that you could buy the entire set, like without even having to, you know, chew
anything.
Chew a million bubble gum, you know, that stale bubble gum that was always with the cards and everything. But
I remember those Donruss sets when they had just the full set. But you're right. Yeah. For a lot of kids, it's funner to get the treasure hunt, and then if you have a double, stick it in the spoke of your bicycle wheel.
Sure, or trade it with a friend, and
trade it with a friend.
Man. Oh my God,
those were the fun times.
When I got the Hank Aaron Home Run King 1974 card, because they knew at the beginning of the season he was going to break Ruth's record. Oh my God, that was like the golden ticket in Willy Wonka terms. You know, and like you said, it's the hunt. That's what made it fun. But again, it is interesting now. I'll be really happy when, you know, again, we can go to live shows again, and it's fun pouring through dollar boxes and the like, and then finding those things. And it's great to find the obscure stuff that, like, for me, again, it's all the off-brand stuff. It's the Where Monsters Dwell reprints of the early 70s. And it's like, if I found those and they were cheap, or I bought the entire set of Not Brand Eck for like $25 or $30 or something, really cheap.
You know, that's how I like it. I have some Carl Barks. Fantagraphics is reprinting all 30 volumes of Carl Barks's Donald and Uncle Scrooge stories. So I'm working on that collection. I've got all the Don Rosa hardcover Fantagraphics that he came out with, as well as the Laughing Times of Scrooge McDuck. And the last one I want to tell you about, you'll be glad I just got it. I haven't done an unboxing, but it is volume 29 of the complete Chester Gould's Dick Tracy. Of course, classic Dick Tracy, man. Everyone in Chicago loved him some Dick Tracy.
100%, man. No, absolutely. And, you know, getting to know Max Collins a bit over the years.
Oh, yeah. Max Collins, damn.
And, you know,
the protege to Chester.
Yes, and also worked with Chester's successor, Dick Locher, who, you know, continued the strip, and Collins still wrote it, but Locher drew it, and then Locher drew for Collins. Or I should, Gould. He started with Gould and then finished with Collins and stuff, and then I believe Joe Staten is the guy who did take over
Yeah.
from Locher. I don't
He's
think there
the
was
one.
anyone in between, and he's still doing it.
Joe, yeah, Joe's still doing it. I remember we interviewed him at Baltimore Comic Con, me and C. Woodard 19, and it was a lot of fun talking about Kilowog, and I told him about the Pouch Man. Of course, Pouch had this big old pouch, and he'd unzip his like chin, and he could put diamonds and gold in there. That's one of my favorite off the wall Dick Tracy villains. You gotta love them, you know.
Well, I mean, isn't it interesting that, like, really, like, I think the three. Well, actually, maybe you put Captain Marvel in there as well. But I love the heroes that have the more colorful rose galleries, and I think it's this, like, it's hard to come up with, like, the short list of great Superman villains in
Yeah.
contrast to Batman or the Flash or even Dick Tracy.
You're
It's
right.
really surprising that, it's like less than 10 really great Superman villains. And Christ, I mean, like, yeah, Dick Tracy, it's ridiculous. The Flash and Batman, certainly. And again, I was at first I was like, well, you might have to throw Captain Marvel in there for all the crazy ones.
Those weird monster society of evil
Yes.
crocodile men. Those are crazy.
Or
ones.
of course, Mr. Banjo.
Banjo.
Mr.
There's so
Banjo,
many-
who they made fun of on Justice League Action, it was Robot Chicken.
Yeah.
Did a whole like bit on Mr. Banjo.
I love when they do bust out those old classics, though. You know.
Oh my God,
those are the
Jesus.
best.
I mean, have you seen a rise in Kite Man comics because of Tom King and Harley Quinn?
Yeah, that anytime they put those kind of like characters you would have never thought about, or even like Condiment King, or these just random. Yeah. You're right though. Those do get the bumps. You'll see a little bump. Collectors, it's interesting. A lot of the new collectors will start small with some of the smaller tier characters, and they'll collect some of those. And some of the flippers will sell those, then buy, the B-list characters. Then maybe one of these days they'll be able to get Batman #1 and get Joker and Catwoman. But I don't know. It's fun though. It's fun to hunt for that stuff.
What do you like? What are you guys planning to do for Golden Guys on Tuesday?
Tuesday, I don't know, man. I've been taking a little break from the Golden Guys, man. I've been so busy. I'm building. Well, me and my son together are building him a brand new gaming PC. I mean, this thing has all the power, and we've been working on it for a while, but now we got all the parts, and now we're just getting into it. So I've been doing that. Also been playing a lot of Red Dead Redemption 2, one of my favorite Western cowboy games, and just really staying busy at work and everything. It just seems like it's been busy lately. I do have a video coming out where I just went to CBCS on Friday to pick up my books there at their North Dallas location.
Stand by, hold on.
I showed this one earlier.
Yes.
This was one of the sneak peeks for my next video. You're going to get to see 39 brand new CBCS slabs, and 30 of the 39 all came back 9.8.
Nice going, man. Outstanding.
So, yeah. Of course, I had them pressed and clean, so that helped a little. And Steve Barak down there at CBCS, just good folks down there, good people, and also friends. And he's one of the board members to the Hero Initiative.
And again, because you had them cleaned, do they have that like kind of purple? Like what? At what point do they?
They do dry cleaning now. So the cleaning they would use, they have. I'm sure it's called an eraser. I've kind of meddled with it, but it's called Absorene. It's ABSORENE, and it looks like a pencil eraser, but it's like Play-Doh. You can roll it up into like a snake, and then you can roll it on some of the dirty parts of the book.
Interesting.
And for white covers, like white back covers, they're taking about a little 1 inch by 1 inch magic eraser, Mr. Clean style. Those little sponges.
Sure.
They're kind of lightly, not using water, but just using it dry over some of the dirty spots.
Interesting.
And they say it's working pretty good. God. So that's kind of cool,
That's funny.
And that still gets the blue label. That doesn't get the purple.
Okay.
It's a dry. But yeah, if they do liquid cleaning, then they got to get the purple label.
Okay. That's honestly, Rob. The level of what's going on in restoration and preservation is amazing. And God, it's funny. It'd be funny to compare what they do to Karina Becko. Is a great comic book writer and wife of Gabe Hardman, and they collaborate a lot, but they also do solo work. But Karina's day job is in archaeology, and I don't know how much restoration she would do. with Bones and things, but she certainly worked with those people. And I
Yeah.
know she's been on digs and things like that. But also here in Chicago with the Field Museum, I've certainly seen the rooms where they are cleaning fossils and things like that. So it's kind of cool, hearing about the various things, that they use to clean these things up now, and especially in the comic world. And pressing them now and everything.
Yep.
That's amazing. Very interesting, honestly. And God, it's great that they have that. Is it expensive to do that per comic?
It is. This last submission for 39 books, and I got pressing, cleaning, and getting them graded as well. It was like the grand total was about $1,000. So but in the long run, oh my God, when I looked at this thing and I put these in the car and I'm looking at the top of them, I'm trying not to look at them all, but they're all coming back these 9.8, 9.8. I was like, holy shit, this is a lot of money here, because I'm like, all of them came back great. I've got some books in there that I have doubles and triples of that I can totally see getting put on eBay pretty soon when the movie or TV show of what the book is about finally hits, but it's going to be
awesome, man. Do you want to tell people what your eBay store, how to find it?
Yeah, go to ebay.com/STR/RDowdy95.
Hold on. I gotta put this up now. I'm gonna ebay.com.
Yeah, ebay.com/STR/RDowdy95, where the Great Legend Show is always coming at you live with the best deals in comics and gaming. I don't have any cooking recipes on that, but
am I correct here?
Let's see real quick.
STR?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. It's 95 at the end. That's
I'm sorry, buddy.
Right. Yeah, 95.
We will edit and get that proper because I want people to check out your page because you got cool stuff, and why not? I think that's excellent, man.
I got some Thundercat Funkos on there, and I bought those things. I pre-ordered them from mycomicshop.com for they're like $9.99, and you get the 35% discount. And hell, it ended up costing $6 or $7. Well, Lino, I tell you, Lino himself goes for about $200. So
wow,
if you want some of them Funko Pops, get on eBay and look at my store.
As a gift, a couple friends got me a Dr. Zayas Funko.
Oh,
and
nice.
I have no idea how much it's worth. I appreciated them getting it. I'm sorry, I'm so not a Funko person. I have it because I do love Dr. Zayas, but I have no itch to ever get any of my favorite characters as Funko Pops at all. It's just I'm not built that way, man. I
loved that and the thing was I like them, and I collected them because they were some of my favorite characters. But when I looked at the prices, I never knew those things would even be like what they are. But I'm kind of blown away by some of that kind of stuff. But yeah, I've got quite a few of those that I still need to sell because I just want to kind of get rid of stuff and have more room. I was going to let you know real quick, the newer Planet of the Apes films, the orangutan, of course, was named Maurice. And of course, it was that throwback to Maurice Evans, that classic character actor who played your Dr. Zayas, 1968. One of my favorite, the original 5, loved them. God bless them. Some of the best films. That guy, Tim Burton, Mark Wahlberg. Oh, disgrace. I didn't like that one. But then the new 3 are pretty good.
I agree, and with Tim Burton, it's like he was shitting on the original 5. Oh, the makeup. Oh, and it's like you're an idiot.
Yeah.
The makeup is incredible.
I love it.
And also, all those movies, the first 5 are fascinating movies.
They hold up too.
And they absolutely hold up. They're great sci-fi, late 60s, early 70s movies. And it's like, you know what the fuck you're talking about, and your movie sucked. Really bad. Really bad. And in fact, Dave Hardman, my good friend who does The Outer Limits with me, he even said that the script was just a mess. And in fact, that final scene at the Lincoln Memorial and everything, I'm like, yeah, what does that mean? He's like, it means nothing. I'm like, what do you mean? He goes, the studio's give us an O. Henry crazy ending. Yeah. And he goes, it's not attached to anything. And it's like, because it's like, are we going to get a sequel or whatever? He's like, no. And I'm like, okay.
Kept him in the dark about it. Sequel was pretty damn good, though.
What's that?
The sequel was pretty good, especially when they got beneath the planet.
Oh, my God. Well, that Beneath the Planet of the Apes, again, is fascinating because of that incredibly sad ending. But also, it was made on the cheap by a television director, this guy, Ted Post, who's done his share of Columbos. at the same time.
Oh wow.
And yet it's this great movie where they cut things as far as the budget. It's kind of cool and smart, and like the ruins of the subway and stuff are like blown up photographs that were like made special for this. Like there weren't even like matte paintings. Like that's how cheap it was, but it just looked right. It looked great. And oh my god, the nuclear zombies, or not, they're not zombies, but the nuclear onto my God, you know, that, and then off key, like singing church dirges that they do and stuff, and they're praying to the nuclear bomb. It's like, that's bonkers shit, man. It's fantastic.
That is.
So, and yes, Mr. Gretzky is right. Tim Burton's Dark Shadows movie absolutely blew, and I'm sure the legend agrees. Being the Dark Shadows guy that he is.
Me and Gretzky, I've known Gretzky for about 10 years on the YouTube, and boy, I've gone off of plenty about that movie.
Yeah. No, and I love Escape from the Planet of the Apes because the first half of it is pure comedy. And then all of a sudden it takes this radical shift of, we got to kill these people or these apes. And all of a sudden it becomes this like real suspense movie. And again, with a very grisly ending. Jesus.
I blame that damn Victor from Young and the Restless, man.
That's right, man. I'm telling you. Don't trust him. It's from his Rat Patrol days, even before that. So no, I'm with you. Legend, or should we wrap? Are you beat?
Yeah, I gotta get some more soda, and I gotta get that new computer does not have a CD-ROM or DVD-ROM drive, and I haven't built one since 2009. So we have to install Windows on a USB flash drive. So it's very interesting. Years later, building.
I know. I hear you, man. No, and another thing, like I got used to having a DVD player in my laptops, and I literally keep one that's like 8 or 9 years old just because it still has a DVD player in it and stuff. It's like, it's really annoying where it's like, oh, okay, fine, I guess I can hook up one, but it should kind of come normal. I have a USB adapter that has like literally 20 ports, so that I can add more accessories.
Heck yeah,
beyond my laptop here and stuff. But that's all right. You know, first world problems, Rob. What can we say? Damn it.
You got to love those USB hubs. I mean, hell, it sucks that the freaking modern laptops give you just free. Oh, but it may be one, but at least it's US 3.0 or Gen 2 or C or whatever, you know.
Yeah, again, Henry, I thought I know we covered this before. If I will, I'm sorry, Rob, because he says Rob wants this. Oh, maybe he's.
Hey, you know what? Hey, Henry, I've actually already seen it.
Have you? Okay, cool.
You showed me the tour of a lot of your original art, so I'm kind of
okay.
So
good deal.
Henry, maybe next time. And Henry, next time I come on Word Balloon, I'll also bring my Jonah Hex first appearance in All-Star Western 10, along with the first Jonah Hex issue, which was his first solo outing as well. So we'll show you some good Tony DeZuniga pretty soon.
And we must talk more, because obviously being in Texas, I'm sure you are a massive Western fan.
I love it. I got from that point that volume All-Star Western. It was a reprint of Powwow Smith in issue 1.
Nice.
I have all of that. It turned into Weird Western Tales, and I have all of those. And Scalp Hunter was okay, but he always just, God, on the cover it looked like he was just getting his butt kicked every time.
You know, those Westerns, and I'm sure, and forgive me, everybody, and we don't mean to offend by these titles, but that's what they were called. And I, much like the war comics, the DC Western stuff was incredible art, great storytelling. I loved when Jimmy Palmiotti and Justin Gray and all those amazing artists that they brought to the last great Jonah Hex series was so great and such a pleasure to read. Oh my God!
Great. You got to hear about Arkham, him and his buddy old Arkham, and you find out how the guy made the asylum. It was so cool.
Well, and when they brought Jonah into the modern day, and he's in Arkham, and he meets, and Bruce Wayne goes to see him, and he's like, "You're a Wayne." And he's like, "What?" And he goes, "You smell like a Wayne." And it's like, I love it. Like Jonah Hex not phased at all, being 100 years in the future. Now I wonder if contextually, because I always loved the series from the 80s when he's in the far future, Hex.
Yeah, Hex.
But that's why I just love Jonah Hex. Like, yeah, all right, fine. I time traveled. I don't know what the hell's going on, but as long as I got my gun, I'm all right.
That's one of those characters that I try to have at least all of his own solo stuff. There's some of the newer, there's all of the single runs, but there's a couple of those little mini series that Palmiotti and Gray did. I really want to get my hands on the originals of those.
Or I wonder how expensive the ones that. Oh God, now I'm blanking on his name. The guy who wrote Bubba Hotep, the movie. Two Gun Mojo. That is the comics I'm thinking of.
Oh,
You know what I'm talking about.
yeah. I mean, you just never know. I mean, even those will be going up probably. But anyway, it's good. Like if you own them, feel glad, feel happy that you some of your things that you like that maybe your wife or your significant or your husband doesn't like. Maybe hey, at least they're worth money.
Absolutely. It's no, I it's funny. I was watching. Then we'll go. I promise, because I know I'm keeping you up. But Kenny Rogers, the gambler, those terrible TV movies they made in the '90s.
And they always put that no info.
Oh my God! Yeah, I mean, listen,
Well,
I love Kenny Rogers, and especially I love his first edition stuff even more than his solo
Yeah.
stuff. But it was like the third or fourth Gambler TV movie, and it was a two-part miniseries, and it ends with this like ultimate poker game. And a lot of the old TV Western heroes were still alive, the actors. Everybody's in this movie that was still alive. It was really amazing, and it had this poker game with Bat Masterson, and it is Gene Barry, and Bart Maverick. So it's not James Garner, but it's the other Maverick, whose name is suddenly escaping me. Shame on me. Who's in Forbidden Planet? I can't remember his name right now. But then so it's those three. Patrick McNee is the bad guy, the bad British gambler. Kenny Rogers and Claude Akins as Teddy Roosevelt. And it's these six guys are having this like ultimate poker game, and they're playing in San Francisco, and they're playing with Paladin of Have Gun Will Travel's private stock of cards.
Dang.
And his private dealer is like the dealer of the game. It's such great TV cheese. It's fantastic.
You gotta
and
love that stuff.
Brian Keith is in it, and so many other great Doug McClure, so many other great like Western TV heroes make these like little 5-minute cameos and stuff. It's fantastic.
That's
It's horrible, but it's fun to watch just because of that.
Oh,
So.
it's like Brooks's Mad World, but with this one has all Western
Exactly.
folks.
Yes, yes, cool. And Reba McEntire is in it, and she's like the femme fatale in the thing. It's
That's
very
awesome.
to mix metaphors with westerns and detective stuff. But anyway, so yeah, we'll talk more about westerns next time, and we'll pull out other collectibles, and in fact, I will show more of my collection on the walls. I promise. I'll take great pictures because I'm looking at it right now. I got Chris Somney, I got Gabe Hardman, Mike Grell, Dave Zuniga. I've got a great Norm Brayfogle Superman. And I have a great Batman that he did for me as well. But I'm like, I never see you draw Superman. He goes, I don't get that often.
Yeah,
and
wow.
It's one of my favorite pieces. And God, just everybody that I got. So I'm very fortunate. Gene Colan, a great Blade from Gene Colan.
Oh, one of the best.
Yep. So, all right, we'll play that next time. Legend, excellent conversation. I knew you were up to the task, and that's why I'm like, let's just have a dick around show. Who's good for a dick around show? It's like,
you call me, man. I'll be around with the best of them, man.
Absolutely, man. No, it was a pleasure, dude. Thank you very much for hanging out tonight.
Thank you, John. Thank you so much.
And thank you, everybody, for watching. If all goes well, I believe Tom King and I will be having a conversation tomorrow night on Word Balloon Live. That's the plan. We'll see if he's still available. And, man, so many great people in the hopper that we don't have set dates on, but will be this week and the following week. Great Western, Rob, have you seen Bone Tomahawk?
No. Cat Rent Figures was telling me about that last night, or maybe the night before, so that's kind of a synchronicity. Very cool.
I'm going to talk to the director. We're going to pre-record on Tuesday, but that's going to be a Word Balloon coming up soon.
That's
so
awesome.
Be watching for that. And until then, everybody, thanks a lot. Have a great